Talk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. There you are. That's good.
I have a beautiful singing voice.
You do. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Aaron and Justin Talk Sequels. I'm Justin.
I'm Aaron.
And this week we're talking about the Joel Schumacher Batman films.
I'm excited to get to this.
Batman Forever from 95?
95 and Batman and Robin.
1997.
1997. Now, I remember seeing Batman and Robin with you in theaters. And we were driving home, and I remember we were in the car really trying to convince ourselves that it was a good film. That's what I remember.
Yeah, and back then we decided that they were the worst and they ruined the franchise.
Yeah, but it was difficult to come to that realization because we were still young, and it was movies we loved. You know, it was a character we loved, so it was difficult to see it not good.
So here's the question, though. Yeah. Looking back, and now with more adult eyes, were we wrong? Are these movies classics?
Well, let's get into it. That's the question.
As we talked about a little last week, Batman Forever really feels like a Tim Burton movie still.
Yeah. He still produced it.
He produced it.
And he pretty much chose Schumacher to direct, right?
Yes, he absolutely chose his replacement. And between watching Batman Forever and watching Batman and Robin, you can see that there's a different influence on Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Like only a little bit of Schumacher is showing, and there's a lot of Burton still showing.
Right.
And I mentioned it last week, and I'm going to say it again. Val Kilmer feels less like a Batman and more like a stand-in for Michael Keaton, almost.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Batman Forever to me, is that it feels like a continuation of Burton's Batman, whereas Michael Keaton should have been in the movie, but he decided not to do it because Burton wasn't directing. So when Val Kilmer was hired, I feel that Kilmer was like, you want me to finish Michael Keaton's storyline, basically. So I'm just going to be Michael Keaton Batman. And that's kind of how he does it. I mean, he does it in his own Val Kilmer style, but he generally feels like he's just trying to do what Michael Keaton had already done with the character.
Reading our favorite online resources, Keaton was actually still signed on with Schumacher. And it wasn't until the second rewrite of the script where Keaton was like, I don't like this anymore.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, yeah. So he just wasn't down with the story.
And they were really big on William Baldwin. That was Schumacher's guy. He wanted him in this and Batman and Robin. And then Ethan Hawke was a serious contender, but he never went anywhere.
Interesting. Yeah, I think Kilmer does a good job. I mean, I think he... You know, because we were talking about Batman and Batman Returns and how Batman's never the star of those movies. I do think that Batman Forever gives Bruce Wayne more of a story. Like, it really tried to go into how he's dealing with being both Batman and Bruce Wayne.
And yes.
And how that echoed Two-Face's role almost, you know? That he was two sides to Two-Face. Batman was two sides to himself. Although he didn't really... There wasn't a battle of wits with Two-Face over that issue, which is strange. There was more of a battle of wits with the Riddler, with the fact that Batman was both Bruce Wayne and Batman, because the Riddler is the one he talks to at the end saying, the answer is that I am both. I am both Batman, and I am both Bruce Wayne. That's the conundrum, or something like that. Where he has that final thing with the Riddler, which I just thought was funny, because I'm like, shouldn't he be talking to Two-Face about this, or is that just too on the nose? Maybe it's just too on the nose.
That's a really good point, and I mean, that's a very deep thought, so way to go. But as I've been trying to do with the previous movies, so plot one... Mm-hmm. This is where we start branching out with the plots, I think.
Yeah.
Because the plots were pretty simple before. There was really a plot and a B plot, and then Batman just hanging out in the plots.
Yeah,
Without
Batman
with that.
reacting to the two plots driving the story along is how the first two movies really worked.
And I mean, we still get a lot of that here because this is the movie. Wait, was Batman Forever the movie, or was it Batman Returns where we're introduced to Batman with him just sitting on the couch waiting for something to do?
That was Batman Returns.
Damn.
Yeah,
Where are we
like Bruce
introduced
Wayne
with?
is literally just waiting. In Batman Forever, he appears as Batman because Two-Face has robbed this bank and he's taken a hostage, and Dr. Chase Meridian, played by Nicole Kidman,
Nicole
and
Kidman, yeah, sorry.
Commissioner Gordon are literally down with the people below the big building, and Batman comes, whoosh, grand entrance in. So he's already Batman right off the top.
Yep, and we see him reacting to Two-Face's story.
Right.
No, Harvey
And
Dent.
she
Two-Face.
is so horny for him right off the top.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous. Like, she wants the bat.
Yeah.
And she wants the bat sausage? Is that appropriate? Bat sausage.
That's awesome.
But
Somebody's
so
eating bat
this-
sausage, being like, hey, come on. It's really good. Anyway.
this movie originally started with Harvey Dent, Two-Face breaking out of Arkham, and
Yeah.
that's a deleted scene somewhere.
I think I've seen that deleted scene. It's like on the DVD or something.
Yeah, the chances are it's somewhere.
Or part of it was shot, yeah.
And then, yeah, we go with Two-Face's robbery hostage situation.
Yep.
Now, do we know why he's doing that? Batman and Robin's fresh in my head, but Batman
Yeah, I
Forever's
don't
not.
think so. I think this is just... he definitely blames Batman for his accident, which caused him to become Two-Face. So I think this is both him just doing bad guy stuff, like robbing a place, taking a hostage, but also trying to get Batman's attention because he wants
Yes.
to kill Batman. So I think
Because-
that's what all this is about.
Two-Face's goal is to go after the bat.
Yeah.
He's
His is pretty clear.
Yes.
He hates Batman.
And then we get Edward Nygma.
Yep.
Yeah, he's hot for Chase Meridian. Oh yeah, hijacks the event and threatens to detonate a bomb unless Batman surrenders himself. I'm going through the plot.
Yeah, so we meet Edward Nygma, who works for Wayne Enterprises.
Yes.
But he's working on some brain device, which Bruce thinks is too dangerous because it could manipulate brainwaves. And he was interested in it at first, but I think he was just giving Edward the runaround. And then once Edward asked for a straight answer, he was like, "Well, no." So then now he hates Bruce Wayne.
Now he hates Bruce Wayne. Now, is this the first time we get Wayne Enterprises?
It's possible, but I do think in Batman Returns, Bruce brought it up when he was talking to Max Schreck.
Yeah, like Bruce Wayne started to be more of a Bruce Wayne character in Batman Returns.
Yeah.
And now we see him really investing in the Bruce Wayne character by
Yeah.
actually being active at the corporation where he could just be a rich kid.
Right, which is a nice addition because he was just living like he wasn't like a rich playboy, I don't think. He didn't, because like Christian Bale definitely played that up in the movie, in his movies. But like, he's just rich and he has a butler. Like, he's just literally Adam West, that kind of Batman.
Yeah.
We don't know why he has money. He just does. So
Yeah,
anyway,
now
so
we're starting.
introducing Wayne Enterprises I thought was a good move in this movie. Shows why he has money, and he does, like, he has an office. What do you know?
Yeah. So for the first time, Batman's more of a character.
Yep.
Because he's directly being targeted by one of the bad guys.
Yep. So Nygma kills his boss and basically tries to go into business for himself. Once he realizes that the thing he created doesn't just put images into your brain, it also takes information out. So he realizes he could steal brainwave information. Yeah.
Yes, stealing
rich,
brainwaves.
Yeah.
Something the Schumacher films do really well, and the Burton ones actually, but they tell a really good comic book story.
Yes.
Like, this is a movie that would adapt itself really well to a comic.
Yes. Every scene, to me, like, none of these scenes and dialogue would exist in Batman, right? In the first
Right.
movie. Could you see any of these scenes existing with Jack Nicholson. Like that
No.
was a real movie. You know what I mean? Like it felt like it had actual scenes, like in the way that an adult film is made. Whereas Batman Forever and way more so Batman and Robin, it literally feels like comic book scenes. Like nobody talks like that in the real world. None of the angles or the way you would see anything in this scene would ever look like that in the real world. So I give Schumacher credit in that, whether you like it or not, he was ahead of his time. I think this is like the quintessential, like he almost began the 90s look of the way action movies are cut and shot. Like I can't think of another movie that came out before Batman Forever that had this kind of style to it,
And
for good or bad.
the shots in these movies are unsettling, if that's the right word.
Yeah, maybe.
Like every time, every time you get a shot of the city, like he's got every camera tilted just a little
Yeah.
to the side, and it's like, is this the Schumacher-y feel? Like
Yeah.
I haven't watched his movies in forever.
It's a Dutch angle, as they call it. I don't know why the Dutch get credit for that angle, but they do. um, if that's what it means, I don't know.
It sounds a little rude. Like,
Yeah, right.
eh,
They just call it a
it's-
Dutch angle.
It's a nice shot, but it's a little crooked, so it's very Dutch.
And
Yeah,
really,
it's-
I think he
we love you, Dutch.
he really looked at the old Adam West show, because they do that all the time in that show. Every villain's camera was sideways, basically. It was all off.
Really?
You know, yeah. So this is very much indebted to the show. You know, because he wanted to go in a little more family. I don't know if he wanted to, but he thought it was a good idea, at least, to go in a more family friendly, more colorful, you know, direction for the films. However, there's still a lot of adult, you know, stuff going on with these films as well. Well, at least this
Right.
movie.
The colors are definitely him, and again, the Schumacher cut of this movie is supposed to be like 2 hours and 40 minutes or so,
No, that's
and
too long. I can't watch that.
supposed to be a lot darker.
Really?
Yeah,
I think
like-
he should own it. He shouldn't. Well, I guess he died, so.
I know there's a lot of backpedaling from Joel Schumacher,
Yeah.
rest in peace, and we'll get into that more with Batman and Robin, and his unmade third
Mm-hmm.
Batman movie. But yeah, he claims that he angered a lot of hardcore Batman fans and wanted the third movie to really go back to the right tone of darker and grittier.
Right.
I don't believe it, though.
I don't either. So, yeah, the Riddler is on his way to becoming the Riddler. He hooks up with Two-Face because he finds him interesting, and he thinks he can help Two-Face, and Two-Face can help him. So they join up. So, you know, Batman in Returns created the dual villain team-up. And then I think that's now the Batman formula. So then Batman Forever did the same thing. Oh, we have two villains, they team up. And that's how we drive the story forward.
And so this introduces not only the team up, but the team up where one villain is after regular guy, one villain is after Batman.
Yes.
And
right.
you'll see that pattern repeated a couple of times. Well, once, but then a planned second time.
Yeah, there you go.
But in between, or just before Two-Face and Riddler meet, Batman goes to the circus.
Yes.
With
You
Chase
gotta invite-
Meridian.
For first date, you take your girl to the circus.
And actually, that would be kind of a
Pretty
fun
fun.
first date.
I
Yeah,
think it's pretty good.
that would be clever. So points for Bruce. But there we're introduced to the Flying Graysons with their youngest son, their youngest boy, Dick,
Dick.
sporting some colorful, high-flying Robin outfits.
I thought a clever way to introduce the Robin suit, you know what I mean? Because it's a little dorky looking, so how are you going to put that into this movie? And I thought that was pretty clever. Oh, yeah.
Well, it's basically
trapeze
the
outfit.
original show from the 60s.
Yeah.
That's the outfit.
Yep.
And yeah, making them trapeze are great.
Right.
And so basically Two-Face has a big bomb. He's going to blow everybody up unless Batman surrenders himself. And the Graysons.
Val Kilmer immediately wants to do. He is just like, I'm Batman, everybody. But nobody hears him. Maybe there's one person that's just like, I swear he just said he was Batman. Did you hear that?
Yeah, Chase Meridian, who's in love with the Batman,
Right.
is sitting right next to him and
Yep.
has no idea
No.
that her date is screaming at the top
So
of
that's
his
not
lungs.
working. So he's like, all right, fine. I guess I'll just go take down some thugs. And yeah, Dick jumps into gear and he gets the bomb into the river and saves everybody, but his family's killed
Is sadly killed.
by Two-Face.
So Val Kilmer, when this movie was made, was 35?
Yeah.
Yeah, roughly 35. And Chris O'Donnell, who plays Robin, who becomes an orphan.
And he's supposed to be like 18 or something, 17 maybe.
You know, to be a ward,
You probably got to
I
be
think
under 18. Is my
I think
thought.
you need to be under 18.
Yeah.
And he was 25, so, you know,
It's not too
It's-
bad, at least.
not too bad. That'll change with Batman and Robin when
Yeah.
they're only a few years apart. But, so yeah, Robin comes and lives with Bruce, because Bruce has got a sucker for orphaned boys.
Well, his
apparently.
parents were killed by a maniac. Now his parents, Dick's parents are killed by a maniac. Obviously, the connection there. He feels for him.
So Robin goes and lives with Batman. Robin quickly discovers that Batman is Batman, steals the Batmobile, drives around like a cool kid, gets in trouble with some thugs. Batman saves him, wants to join Batman. Batman says no. And then we get to where Two-Face and the Riddler team up.
Yep.
And they really kind of...
And Batman just lets them rob a whole bunch of like, where is he?
Right, like,
my
they kind of
point.
form an LLC. They have a
Yeah.
nice business plan.
Right.
Two-Face is the money guy.
Yep.
Riddler is the face of the company. And he starts selling his magical box to everybody
box.
in Gotham.
From
The
Enigma
box.
Tech. You forgot another important plot point is that Robin does, he knows karate laundry.
Yes.
Whatever that
Where-
was.
Where Alfred, who appears to really like to tinker with suit design,
Yep.
learns that he could be a skilled ally for the Batman.
Yeah, I love Alfred. Michael Gow, his performance is he's him and the Commissioner are the consistent people
Right.
that make this the four movie franchise. You know what I mean? If
Yes.
it wasn't for them, then you'd probably feel like these were separate movies. But yeah, I just his reaction to Chris O'Donnell's karate laundry is just gold. I don't know. He's just great. He's a great Alfred. He always
And-
was.
It begs the question, is he responsible for Batman too? Is he responsible for taking a kid that's under his charge, who has obvious demons, and being like, here's a suit that I made for you, sir. Why don't you go and work out some of that energy in the
Yeah.
city?
In a way, Alfred is a disturbed puppet master.
Yes! Like, my
Creating-
argument was that Bruce is a sociopath,
Right.
but in fact,
Yeah.
it's Alfred.
I'm
who's
glad
a
we came to this
sociopath.
because I was thinking the same thing. He made Batman, he made Robin, and then Batgirl comes in the next movie. He's like, hey, you want to be a super fighter? Or a superhero? Crime
Which is
fighter?
even
Here you
worse,
go."
because it's a family member.
Yeah, it's his niece. Yeah.
Oh, you
So,
lost all your family.
Chase Meridian ends up realizing that she loves Bruce, which is great and all, but I mean, I don't see like them really. They didn't really have more than like maybe 2 dates. I don't know.
Yeah.
But suddenly she's all about him. So then she doesn't love Batman, which is, for the plot purpose, is really just, I guess, just funny. You know, that, now she doesn't love Batman anymore, but they're the same person. This is going to be cute when she finds out. But it doesn't really mean much. Except she gets kidnapped because the Riddler tricks Bruce into revealing his mind to him, right? Using the box, Riddler's able to find out that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
That's exactly
So
right.
he
yes.
has the key that Two-Face always wanted. Like, he was like, we'll find out who Batman is, we'll kill him. So now he's got Two-Face, even more on his side. And so they go to Wayne Manor, blow up the Batcave, kidnap Chase Meridian. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
exactly
There you
right.
go. So then it all comes to a head at Riddler's island, Claw Island, where he, I guess, for some reason you'd want your factory built on an island, which just, I don't know, it seems like it'd be awfully expensive to have barges going back and forth delivering truckloads of the box.
It's true, but he gets points for picking Claw Island. The coolest name for an island I've ever heard.
Maybe that's a comic reference. I don't know about it though. I don't know what Claw Island is.
Yeah, I have nothing there either. Real quick, worth mentioning, Batman, for the third time in 3 movies, tells the woman that he's into that he's Batman
Yes,
before she gets kidnapped.
it is his thing.
And, this is that magic moment where Robin, Dick Grayson, becomes Robin.
Yeah,
Because Alfred has made him a fucking suit.
right. A pretty good version of it, based on Batman's and his trapeze thing. They put them together. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good, Alfred.
Yeah, that was a pretty good Robin suit. And I'm fine with Batman and Robin's
No.
suit.
I'm not. I mean, it looks fine. I mean, it looks good on him. But yeah, they went to Nightwing with it, whereas they could have saved the Nightwing for a later movie.
Right, they were already evolving into Nightwing and setting that up with the conflict between Batman. But we're jumping ahead.
Yeah, we are.
Sorry.
So yeah, it all comes ahead at the island, and
Yep.
he has a bat boat. He has a new bat wing, which was destroyed, or bat plane. I don't know what you want to call it. I know in the
Yeah.
first movie it was called Bat Wing for some reason. The Bat Wing.
Yeah, there was no boat until this one, wasn't there?
No, there was a boat in the TV show for sure. So
Well, yeah.
and he had a helicopter, but that never pops up.
Oh,
So yeah, Robin takes the boat. Batman takes the wing. They both get destroyed. They have to have a little underwater battle with some scuba divers. They end up on the island. Robin gets captured by Two-Face because he won't kill him after all, even though that's what the whole reason he wanted to become Robin is to kill Two-Face.
yep, Robin fights Two-Face, Batman fights the Riddler.
Right.
And then they really quickly get Robin into a cage
Yep.
so that Batman has to choose
Right.
between Chase in a cage and Robin in a cage.
And the Riddler's pretty sure that he has to choose one, and the other one will die. And yet we learn he didn't have to. He could save both of them
Yes.
because he's Batman.
And at this point, the Riddler has a giant brain because he's been absorbing
Yeah.
all of the brainwaves from everybody in Gotham City.
And then I guess when Batman destroys his brainwave thing, it what does it do? Does it sap all the information from his head, or is it just
It
there's
feels
no
like
way
it
to
just
control
goes
it?
back out
Yeah.
to everybody else.
So he loses his mind basically in some way, really
Yeah.
unexplainable way.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and Batman saves the day. He has a new partner in Robin. They realize we can do this. We can work together.
So,
Yeah.
and we have Two-Face. Two-Face gets the jump on them, and he flips his coin to decide whether they're going to live or die. But at the exact moment when he's about to catch it, Batman throws a bunch of similar coins, and then he falls, apparently to his death,
Yeah,
but
apparently.
not.
Maybe not.
Because of the events of Batman and Robin, we're led to believe that he is still alive.
Why? What happened?
Because his outfit is in Arkham.
I agree with you. Why is his outfit? Why have his outfit in Arkham?
That has to mean that he survived.
I guess so.
Because why are you
Interesting.
throwing clothes in
But
the
Robin would
prisoner?
not be happy to learn that. Although he did say, "I would rather see you in jail."
Yeah.
So maybe he is okay with that.
And that actually wraps up Batman and Batman Forever.
Well, at the end with Chase Meridian, because Enigma says that he knows who Batman is, but it turns out he's just crazy and he thinks he's Batman. So then Chase tells him, "Your secret is safe." So she knows he's Batman. And that relationship yet again doesn't work out for some reason.
Yeah, Chase Meridian disappears.
Yeah. Do you think she's still
off-screen.
in Gotham, or she left like Vicky left?
That I say she's still in Gotham.
Yeah, so people just know
No,
he's Batman. And they
no,
don't tell
that's a
anybody.
lie. They get the hell out of town after they break up with Batman. They're scared for their lives.
Probably. She can't be around him anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the big problem with Batman Forever is that uh, I think Tommy Lee Jones should have played the straight man. You know? Like he could have been dangerous and disturbed as Two-Face, but he has this manic energy which is completely out of place when it's put up with Jim Carrey's manic energy. They can't both be the crazy manic energy. It was too much. That's what, for me, sank the movie, is that they're both the same character.
Like, and I, in my old age, this is a wonderful popcorn movie, and it's fine to hang out and watch this and not really give it any thought. But if you do start to break it down critically, how cool would it have been if you got normal, straight Tommy Lee Jones for the Harvey Dent stuff and then the wild stuff?
Yeah.
Like if
He
there
does
was.
it once in the movie. It's at the very end when he's about to flip that coin, and Bruce says, "Oh, Harvey, what about your coin? You can't make a decision without it." And he goes in his Tommy Lee Jones voice, "You're right, Bruce. You've always been a good friend." Blah, blah, blah. You know, that was the only time in the movie where he acted sane, you know, like the two sides. And I just thought that he should have done that way more often than the crazy, "and me," you know, like this crazy manic energy that should have been Jim Carrey's, and Jim Carrey's alone, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. So it's worth mentioning the talk about these characters returning for Batman and Robin.
Was there
Because,
talk?
officially, Val Kilmer could have come back, and officially he didn't come back because of scheduling conflicts with
The Saint,
the Saint.
right? Yeah, he was doing that. Which
But
was
Joel's-
kind of a failure. It wasn't a bad film, but it was very forgettable. I remember
Oh,
watching
yeah.
it.
Yeah. And there's a reason that Val Kilmer kind of disappeared. It always feels like the actors with the worst attitudes are the ones that quietly don't go anywhere. And Schumacher went on record saying he wasn't very nice.
Yeah, he was
And
difficult.
you could say that he quit, but you could also say that we fired him. That's a direct quote.
Right.
And there was another line in there where he didn't talk to Schumacher for 2 weeks because Schumacher told him to stop being rude to people.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
And the other part of this is Tommy Lee Jones really did not like Jim Carrey.
Yeah, according to Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that too. I think he told Howard Stern that. The Tommy Lee Jones was like, "I don't like you. I hate you."
And I cannot suffer your whatever. Yeah.
So maybe that was it. Maybe he just thought that Jim Carrey was stealing the movie and he wanted to match his enthusiasm. But you can't match Jim Carrey's manic energy. You can't do it. I think he did a
Nope.
pretty good job of it, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But
I mean, this was Jim Carrey in his prime. This was
Yeah.
1995. I
well,
think
that's
it was
the other thing I was going to say is that I think instead of turning the Riddler into Jim Carrey, maybe he should have used his acting ability, because he's a good actor, to make Jim Carrey more of the Riddler. You know what I mean? But I just feel like he took the Riddler and turned him into Jim Carrey. So it was a little much. It was just a little much. And
Wait.
we really start to get the bad dialogue in this film. The last third of the film, though, like the climax, is pretty much where it gets to be, for me, just kind of unwatchable. Like, his dialogue and how crazy he is. Like, everything up to that point is a pretty good film, I feel like. Maybe not a great film by any means, but watchable, you know?
Yeah. For me, this movie was watchable just because I kept imagining Michael Keaton. And
Yeah.
I played the same game when I was watching Batman and Robin last night, where I was trying to imagine Michael Keaton saying the Batman lines, and you can't. Like,
No.
Batman and Robin is Joel Schumacher's film all on his own. Like, Batman Forever was almost like this easing in property where there was it's like getting to know your new stepdad.
Yeah.
You know, like the memory's fresh of your original dad in Batman Returns. So the stepdad really tries to make it seem like nothing's different. He sounds like the dad. He does fun things like the dad. But then once you really get to know the stepdad, then you realize that he's Batman and Robin, and there's things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There are things wrong.
Yeah, I'm with that. I think Burton producing it still kept it in his wheelhouse a little bit. Like, I'm gonna let you do your thing, but you got to make it fit the trilogy. You know what I mean? Like, this is the third movie, so it's got to still fit. But you couldn't imagine any of these scenes, like I said before. Like, none of this dialogue would be said by Jack Nicholson or Michael Keaton, or even Kim Basinger, or Robert Wool. You know what I mean? Like, all those people, or Alfred. Like, none of them would be able to say the dialogue in these movies in that movie, in Batman. Maybe Batman Returns, because it got a little more fantasy-like.
Fairy-tale-y. Yeah.
But anyway, so it was a hit, though. That was the thing about Batman Forever, is that for all of the things that maybe weren't that great as far as adult Batman lovers are concerned, the kids loved it. I loved it.
It was an absolute hit. It made more money than Batman and Returns, but it made less than the original Batman.
Gotcha.
And so everybody was immediately, come on, Joel Schumacher, let's make another one.
Yeah, so this one's greenlit. Batman and Robin, 97.
Yeah, like, usually there's 3 years between sequels, but they were so amped about Batman Forever that they pushed this one out as quick as they could and put a sequel out 2 years later.
Yeah.
And not only was it 2 years later, like, Schumacher was super on top of it. I figured, sorry, the whole time I was looking up the Batman Forever reviews, and 39% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 32% audience score. So yeah, off of 69 reviews, this was not reviewed very favorably.
Which one?
Forever.
Yeah. Yeah, not critically, but not despised either. That was the thing that allowed them to move forward, you know? It made money. The audience loved it. Critics didn't hate it, but they certainly weren't all about it. But that's still basically how a movie gets greenlit for another one, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh! And just looking up the critical consensus on Batman and Robin, and we all know that Rotten Tomatoes has its flaws, but it's still a pretty good concept. Yeah. 11%.
Yeah. Which isn't the lowest of the low, but it's pretty low. I think they named it some, you know, like Variety or something, I don't know, something like that, named it the worst movie of the last century.
Yeah, a lot of places have put it in their top 10 of the worst movies, and I'm here to say right now that they are wrong.
I think they are slightly... They are right and they're wrong. You know what I mean? They're right because it's hard not to imagine this movie the way it was intended, which is the fourth movie of this franchise. It really is. It's supposed to be a continuation of Batman, Batman Returns, and Batman Forever, and therefore it is a complete misfire. But if Warner Brothers came out and said, hey, if they promoted it this way, we're rebooting the TV show for a 90s audience from the 60s, you know what I mean? So it's going to be fun, it's going to be family friendly, it's going to be colorful, it's going to be action packed. You guys are going to love it. It's going to be a real romp. If they had like promoted it that way, I think people would have had a definite different view of it and said, like, as far as redoing the show from the 60s for a modern audience, that's pretty good. But if you say it's a continuation of Tim Burton's Batman, it's a real failure. It's an embarrassing failure. That's how I feel about it, at least.
Another interesting part of this is Schumacher took a lot of inspiration from the cartoon, which I didn't realize had taken that much of a foothold at that point.
Like the 90s cartoon.
Mask of the Phantasm. Yeah.
Okay.
And Mask of the Phantasm, I think, was 93 or 94. So
Yeah.
it was definitely in there. Because the big thing about Batman and Robin is that it is absolutely a cartoon movie.
Yeah.
And apparently, during filming, Schumacher would constantly just be on top of, what do you call the thing that goes up the arm?
Like the jib seat,
I
the
don't
jib
know.
arm. If
He'd
the
always be
camera's
up
on it,
in
it's
that
a
thing?
jib, and sometimes they have a seat on it, so it'd be like, I don't know, the jib seat, whatever.
He'd be up there constantly,
Yeah.
and he'd be, before they would roll the camera, he'd be like, "And remember, everybody, this is a cartoon!" Like, constantly, and there was complaints that it was hard to set the tone for the movie
Yeah.
with him constantly saying
Right.
that. But once you kind of jump into that and accept that feeling, this movie is a roller coaster, and
Yeah.
you don't want to get off.
Right.
It's
It is enjoyably
so much
silly.
fun. And there's so many arguments I have to make here, but one of them, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it with pride. Arnold Schwarzenegger does the best job acting in this movie, and he is possibly never been better.
I disagree with you in that, and the biggest failure, well, there's a couple failures, but one of the biggest failures is that Mr. Freeze has absolutely zero anything interesting to say. Like, every single line of dialogue is a pun or just pointless. You know what I mean?
It is.
Every single line. Like, maybe there's one line where he explains how he loves his wife, and that is it. Every
But
other
that's-
line is just a dumb play on words or a pun.
That's the joy of it.
I know I get that, but it grows old quick.
No, because the fun part about Mr. Freeze in this movie is that he is literally a maniac. Like,
Yeah.
his brain is broken on the same level of the Joker. They have a similar origin. He falls into a vat of chemicals, and he comes out as Mr. Freeze. And his goal was just to save his wife. That's it. That's all he cared about. That's his motivation.
But he's
And-
having fun. And, that's what's weird about it for me is that
Well, like,
he's
yeah.
supposed to be saving his wife, but at the same time, he's just a goofy villain, you know?
Because he's completely unhinged.
I guess
Like,
so,
he's
yeah.
just totally lost his mind, and he's just running around making jokes and being suicidal.
Right.
And so this movie...
He was already Dr. Freeze. Why is he Mr.? Right? Like, he was Dr. Victor Freeze. Why wouldn't he just be Dr. Freeze? Why is it Mr.?
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, why would you drop the doctorate just because you're a villain now? You wouldn't. Dr. Doom.
So...
He's not called Mr. Doom. Mr. Sinister never finished his PhD. So that's why he's Mr. Otherwise, he would be Dr. Sinister. I don't know. That's just what I was thinking was strange about it. Because if you call a doctor Mr., they immediately correct you and say, well, it's doctor.
It's Doctor, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't spend $100,000 getting your doctorate just to be called Mr. That's all I'm saying. Anyway,
I probably wouldn't make
we could
that
go on
big
about
of a
this.
fuss. How about
so Chris O'Donnell returns
Yes.
as Robin.
So wait, what else is hugely different between this movie and the other movie? So we've got
Hugely different.
a cartoon tone.
Yes, there's definitely a cartoonish tone.
We have
We have new Batman.
we have a new Batman with George Clooney, who's pretty good.
He's pretty good. It's any white dude could have been this Batman, right?
Yes.
It was whoever was in the now, whoever was the talk of the town was gonna be Batman, as long as he was a little older than Chris O'Donnell and white. That was just the prerequisite. So who's popular right now? Well, that guy from ER is really breaking out. Let's make him Batman. You know what I mean? It could have been anybody. Because I say it could have been anybody because they have nothing for him to do yet again. He already
Yes.
had his big Bruce Wayne moment in Batman Forever where he was struggling with being Batman and Bruce Wayne and then came to the realization, I'm both. and now that's it. Now I'm just so there's nothing interesting to do with him anymore. That's why anybody could have took that role.
Yeah, like this Batman movie has Batman as more of a character, but he's more empty than ever.
Well, he just has no issue now being Batman. Like he's just Batman. So
Batman's a celebrity at this point.
Exactly. That's another thing from the show is that him and Robin make an appearance at a gala. That is totally what Adam West and Burt Ward would do all the time in the original Batman show, you know?
All the time. Mr. Freeze. This is something the movies do a really good job of, starting with Batman Returns, where they're constantly building out the mythology of the city. And Batman Returns, Commissioner Gordon's like, "It's the circus gang again, Batman." Like, they're an existing villain that has been occurring off screen.
Right.
In Batman Forever, Two-Face is attacking after he's already been arrested and was already in Arkham. So another adventure that happened off screen. And then in this one, we're in the middle of Mr. Freeze attacking. So again, he's a new entity, but his origin has already happened. We jump into these stories with a lot of stuff happening off screen, and it's got a nice, fun comic booky feel.
Yeah, I feel like they probably had all these extra scenes written, and maybe some of them filmed, and then when it comes to actually editing, they're just like, let's take that out. It's kind of like Two-Face escaping from Arkham at the beginning. They're just like, can't we just jump right into it? Doesn't matter, that we show him escaping. So they cut it out. So I feel like maybe in the original writing it, maybe Mr. Freeze's origin story was actually a part of the movie. You know what I mean? But then they just realized through editing, let's not do that. Let's just cut it out. You know what I mean?
So this movie jumps in with Mr. Freeze robbing the Natural History Museum. And he's doing that so he could steal a big old diamond, which we learned that his suit is powered by diamonds.
Yeah. Now, do the diamonds, which is an indestructible element, right? I don't know if diamond is an element, but what does the suit do to the diamonds? Does the suit incredibly destroy diamonds and use them for
energy? Well, it is
or something?
lasers, so maybe. But yes, it suggests that the lasers shoot through the diamonds and power his cold suit. It is a bit of fantasy, but it is definitely a comic booky fantasy. And these are all my notes for this movie.
Oh my god. Read them.
Because this movie is nothing but a wonderful wild ride. So, Two-Face, Mr. Freeze attacking a museum. Batman and Robin jump to action. We see them suiting up, and we see Batman getting into the brand new Batmobile, which has no windshield.
It's always bothered me that he has no top on it. But again, it's a throwback to the TV show,
It's a one-seater.
Isn't that weird?
Like, he's got a partner now, but he decides to make it so that only he can ride.
But you know what? That is a toy. He's like riding in an action figure toy, right?
Oh,
There's no roof, and it's a one-seater. Like, could there be anything more toyish than that version of the Batmobile? And yet, I don't remember seeing that as a toy. Did they ever make that Batmobile as a toy?
I'm sure they did, but we never bought it.
I don't have it. I never saw it. I'd have to look it up, but I really don't remember.
I am 100% sure.
I don't really remember a Mr. Freeze action figure either, so I don't know what they did with Batman and Robin.
It's because I think we soured on this movie so quickly. Batman and Robin toys.
But Robin has a motorcycle, which made sense for him. So that his was cool, I think.
Yeah.
And that had a nice Batman the Animated Series design to it. His motorcycle.
Yeah.
That's what it occurred to me that was taken from the cartoon.
So real quick, I wanted to go back to Batman Forever for a second. So the first two movies are pretty tight in their plotting and their story. They have a main A plot and a main B plot. With Batman Forever, we get Two-Face's plot where he hates Batman. We have the Riddler's plot where he hates Bruce. Mm-hmm. We have the hot psychologist who shows up to dig Batman. So she's a C almost.
Yeah.
And then we have Robin's story arc and then we have Batman's conflict that is within the 4 plots. So we have a lot more going on in Batman Forever, and in Batman and Robin they continue to pack in different plot elements, and this is where it gets harder to, if they try to focus on just a couple things, they can tell a clear story, but they're trying to tell so many stories that it gets very convoluted.
I do still think there's a formula between Forever and Robin, though, in that, and Batman and Robin, in that one villain's already created and a menace. That's Two-Face and Mr. Freeze. And then we get to witness the creation of the second villain, which is the Riddler and Poison Ivy. Yeah, that's all. That's the formula for me, you know. And that there's supposed to be a girl that is a big part of Bruce's life in a way, but that's Elle Macpherson's character, who doesn't really do much other than she's just the girlfriend. That's it, you know. But she kind of disappears.
Sorry. Yes, in the 2 years between Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, Bruce Wayne is so comfortable in his role that he now is mature enough to have a girlfriend that he doesn't care about.
Yeah, just because she's not interesting. She's just an attractive woman, and that's it. You know what I mean?
And so is...
That's why he's bored with her.
He is so bored with her. And so is Bruce Wayne becoming... Is he more of a real character, or is that becoming more and more fictional as these movies go along?
I just feel like he is really getting bored. He's getting bored with being Batman. He's getting bored with dealing with his whiny sidekick. He's getting bored with the women in his life. So now Poison Ivy comes along and she's interesting, but he's not really down with her. Like, he knows that she's just using this pheromone to control him anyways. So he's more like, nah, I'm too Mr. Business that I can't go for her.
Yeah, it's super interesting, but we're jumping ahead. So in this robbery at the very beginning of the movie, there's a lot of ice skating. There's a lot of magic jumping around.
Yep.
Very
silly
cartoony
stuff. The hockey team from hell.
And Mr. Freeze ends up getting the diamond. He is successful. And he's successful because he decides to shoot a rocket into space, and Batman just happens to get on the rocket too. And so Mr. Freeze is happy because he'll get the chance to blow up Batman. But
as far as
Mr.
action
Freeze...
set pieces go to a beginning of a movie like this, I mean, they just went all out. You know? Okay, we have the History Museum. Everything's frozen. The hockey team. The ice skates. He's got his big vehicle anyways, and then it turns into a rocket, and then we're going to blow the rocket into the air, and then they're going to surf the sky, and then they're going to go into, you know, just like out of control.
And I had no memory of them surfing.
No?
They're 30,000 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And they surf back down to Earth on
because if you remember,
metal.
Surfing's always been popular, you know, at least since the 60s. But like rad surfing, that was a 90s thing. Do you remember the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie? They sky surfed in that as well. It was that thing to do in the 90s. Skateboarding, bodyboarding, surfing. Like, that was cool kid shit that you would just do, that you put in movies because kids loved it.
But can you tell me why
Tailspin?
Mr. Freeze...
Remember Tailspin? That kid in Tailspin? Kit?
I remember Tailspin, but I don't remember
Skywalker. What was his name? Cloud Kicker or something like that? Yeah, he was the kid. He had a board that he would surf through the air. Kids love that stuff, so that's why that's included. Is my point.
Well, yeah, I mean it's included because it's a cartoon. But can you tell me why Mr. Freeze brought a rocket to that diamond heist?
I don't know. Why would he need to explode the rocket out of there? Why wouldn't he just drive away?
he has a master plan. That's why he's getting the diamond. He wants to freeze the entire city and hold it hostage so he can get enough money to refund his research to cure his wife. That's his entire plan.
Yeah.
And
to escape from the museum after stealing the diamond, I'm going to have to use a rocket, is what he was thinking. There's not going to be any way out of here.
And then jump out of the rocket before it explodes.
With the wings. And he looks like a flying monkey from Wizard of Oz, is always what it reminded me of.
His design is amazing.
Yeah, they really went top notch with that
like
design.
They look like the characters, but his blue eyes, like the LED he wore in his mouth.
Yep.
And that's a bald cap, by the way. Schwarzenegger refused to shave his head.
Yeah, that's a damn good bald cap.
It's damn good.
The
effects are amazing.
Yeah, the makeup effects are great on him.
It's worth mentioning here that Batman and Robin escape by surfing.
Yep.
And Batman is really pissed at Robin because Robin gets frozen.
Yeah. He won't listen to him.
Mr. Freeze is escaping. Yeah, but Batman's all like, after you train in the simulator for the next 8 hours or so.
10 hours in the simulator. So he has a danger room.
And he's like, bitch, I just saved your life.
Yeah.
Robin doesn't say this to him, but Batman was literally just frozen and completely helpless to Mr. Freeze too. And Robin saved his life. Like, Robin did that, but you're going to train for the next 10 hours.
Well, later in the movie, Bruce
frozen.
asks Alfred if am I a hard ass? And Alfred's like, yeah. Like, he says, yeah. You always thought you could cheat death by following rules and being a hard ass, and now you're learning that that's not always the case, and people want to be led, not like, what am I thinking? Or they want to follow, they don't want to be forced to whatever. So he's trying to tell Robin what to do all the time, but it's not working.
All the time.
Because even Alfred knows that Robin's his own man. He just wants to be a part of the team. He doesn't want to be told what to do all the time.
This is also worth mentioning real quick as I check my notes. Batman and Robin suit up and they're driving out of the Bat cave before they know what they're doing.
But I was thinking that, but it's because they saw the bat signal. You know what I mean? They saw the bat signal, they jumped to action, and once they this is how the show went. Once they, the red phone that the commissioner would call would let them know. That was how the show went. There was no bat signal, really, hardly ever.
Yeah, that's fair, and that's a good point. So we're to the point in the movie where we cut to Brazil.
Yeah.
At a Wayne Enterprises research facility. So,
very monster movie. I love the way it looks.
Yeah, and Wayne Enterprises funds some weird stuff.
Mm.
And so we have a simple researching lady and another guy.
Yep.
Uma Thurman playing this researcher, and
Yep.
John Glover
Yeah.
playing the other researcher.
Wasn't he the dad? Wasn't he Lex Luthor's dad in Smallville?
Yes.
Yeah.
He looked very familiar to me, and it was bothering me, so I'm looking it up now. Seamus, Annie Hall.
He was in Annie Hall. Huh?
Yeah, just as nobody.
Yeah.
White Knights, A Killing Affair, 52 Pickup, Masquerade, Scrooged.
Yeah, he was the He was the
in
guy that came in to take over because Bill Murray weren't trusting him, so he was the one that came in to kind of direct the live play and stuff. Remember?
Gremlins 2,
and he'd be
RoboCop
like,
2.
He was like, "Okay, that's lunch, everybody." And Bill Murray's like, "I'm the one that calls lunch." He's like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry." And then he's like, "Hold on, everybody, he's got something to say to you." And then he holds the microphone up to him. Remember that? It was so demeaning. I love that role. Anyway,
I do not remember it.
Okay.
Payback. Yeah, just a lot of random stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
He was just in
He's a good
Shazam.
actor. I love him.
What did he play in Shazam?
I don't know. I liked that movie. I don't remember it too much, though.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Guessing that he was the dad.
Maybe.
I don't know. But yes, so we're introduced to Uma Thurman as... What is her Batman?
Pamela Isley.
Yep.
But and this is the old thing where like he's secretly building a weapon of mass destruction using company funds. And she
Yes.
finds out about this because he's been working with Venom, which is something that she was extracting from wherever. So he was using her research to build a weapon that he was trying to sell to like, you know, random countries that are at war or something,
Yeah,
by showing generals in suits, standing in a line. Very comic booky, you know what I mean? Very
Very comic
cartoonish,
book.
I guess. I don't even know if it's comic book, but it's cartoonish at least.
and her goal is to mix animal venom into plants so plants can defend themselves.
Yes,
Exactly. She's a real wackadoodle all on
She's
her
a
own.
tree hugger, but she wants to use violence to save the world. So she wants the plants to fight back and protect themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
So he kills her, or tries to kill her, because she'll obviously be a problem.
Yes.
You know.
And that actor does such a great job in this role.
Yeah.
And this
So mad
character
scientist.
is a actual character from the comics.
I was sure he was, yeah.
And he is known as Floronic Man, also known as the Plant Master, Floro,
Right.
or the Cedar.
Yeah.
And there's a pretty good picture on the Wikipedia, but he doesn't look familiar to me.
So he
Yeah,
creates
so-
Bane. We should,
He creates Bane.
yeah, who is a Batman villain who was actually pretty smart in the comics, and he's the one that we were talking about briefly before this, who started off Nightfall, which was probably the best Batman crossover big event thing that I remember from my childhood.
Biggest event from the 90s.
Yeah, and
And-
Bane was a real villain who ended up breaking Batman's back, which is something that never happened before. He put him on commission for a year or two.
Yep.
So he was a serious thing. So in this movie, they just use his costume and make him a mindless thug.
Yep. He is totally just Frankenstein's monster
Yes.
in this movie.
But he uses the venom, which is also something he used in the comics. It made him stronger. And so, it works for the movie, obviously.
In this movie, they specifically call it a super soldier
Yeah.
serum,
Yes.
which I'm
To
surprised
steal the
they didn't
Captain
get
America
sued.
thing.
Yep.
So she doesn't die. And
She doesn't die.
all the chemicals reacted with her body and made her into Mother Nature, basically. And she calls herself Poison Ivy.
Yes.
So she kills
And-
him. She kills the doctor. She takes Bane. He's her henchman now. And they realize that Wayne Enterprises is the one funding, or she's reminded, I guess, that Wayne Enterprises is the one funding. And I guess she feels like Wayne Enterprises can give me the money I need to, what? Like,
Well, I think I
continue
see
my
this
research? Or
as
what is she
where she
thinking?
sees Bruce Wayne as the enemy,
Okay.
and she's going to sabotage Wayne Enterprises because of the negative things they've done to the environment,
I see.
which is why she goes to Gotham.
But when
And-
she first appears in Gotham, she actually does it pretty standard in that she tries to talk to the big boss and say, will you sign this that promises you will stop doing this?
Yep, she's still a little green hippie
Yeah.
lady, and she doesn't realize the extent of her powers yet.
But in order to get there and to get that limo that they arrive in, they already, like, killed people in order to...
Oh yeah, so
To
maybe
get
she
there.
does.
Yeah, so she's a little crazy, but she still goes at it in just a protester kind of way, which is interesting to me. And then when that doesn't work, she's like, fine, I'm just Poison Ivy now. I'm just gonna destroy the world in some way.
Yeah.
And how does she
And-
hook up with Mr. Freeze?
She hooks up with Mr. Freeze because she shows up at a fundraiser. Okay, so so Batman, recognizing that Mr. Freeze likes diamonds, sets up a gala
Yeah.
where hundreds of people will be in attendance
Yeah.
to lure Mr. Freeze into trying to steal
Yeah.
some diamonds.
Some of them may die, but it's important to catch him.
Yeah, so Batman is very much just putting innocent people in harm's way by creating this gala.
Yep.
But it also attracts Uma Thurman, where Bruce Wayne invites Poison Ivy to the gala to kind of appease her, to just get her out of his face. And so yeah, they have this big gala to present the new telescope at the Gotham Observatory. Uh, Batman and Robin are the guests of honor, and yeah, Mr. Freeze shows up to steal the diamond. He meets Poison Ivy, but in the meantime, Poison Ivy is
right. I see.
blowing
Yeah.
the pheromones at Batman and Robin.
Yeah, so she's using her pheromones to control men, basically. It's affecting Robin more than it's affecting Batman.
Yeah.
It seems to be. Or Batman, it affects him, but he realizes what is happening, whereas Robin is just all about Poison Ivy now. It's really making him all hot for Poison Ivy.
Yep, he's a little younger, he's a little more susceptible.
And it's putting a problem between him and Bruce. Like, he wants to be his own man, and it's coming to a head now because the way he feels Batman treats him as a partner. It's coming to a head, and he wants to be his own man. So that's happening. And then, so the big to-do is that Mr. Freeze gets captured by Batman, right? So he gets defeated, and they drive down that big arm. Remember,
yes.
Yeah. So he stops Robin, and that's like the nail in the coffin for Robin, is that he's like, you won't make the jump, and he turns off his motorcycle. Yep. So that pisses Robin off completely. But Batman does get the bad guy. So then Mr. Freeze goes to prison. He's in Arkham Asylum.
Yep.
Or not prison. Whatever you want to call Arkham Asylum, I guess. It's treated it more as a prison in here than it is a...
Which, did you see how they transported him to his cell?
Yeah, it was like in an old fridge.
He was in a fridge.
Isn't that funny?
He was in a fridge with the
That's
freezer
amazing.
door cut off. It was
Right.
amazing.
That was pretty good. Well, the one thing these two movies do not lack for is production design. I mean, they went all out.
It's absolutely
Really impressive.
bonkers what they did with the visuals here, and
Right.
you see Schumacher's touch with the city.
Well, it's just so, like, everything's great about it, but the whole, again, it's the 90s, and that they were like blacklight, neon. Just crazy blacklight, neon. That's not really needed. That, to me, ages the worst. But everything else about the production design looks really good, I think.
Yeah, I like what they did with the buildings and building them
Yep.
into the giant statues.
Yeah.
And having raised roads. That was cool.
Yeah. Oh, and the big thing is it's like they talk about it like it was Y2K, the bat nipples. Remember? Like the way people still talk about the bat nipples. Doesn't really bother me. It never really bothered me. And Schumacher's explanation for it makes perfect sense. Is that he's just thought of the suits as kind of a Greek Adonis kind of look. Like that was the idea behind the design, is that they're supposed to look like the perfect Greek god. So there you go. That's why he's just like, here's the abs, here's the muscles, here's the nipples. And I'm like, yeah I probably would have left it off if I designed it. But it certainly didn't bother me that they're on there, and people just really could not stop staring at them and made it the biggest deal.
Yeah, on this viewing, I have no memory of thinking about the nipples at all.
Yeah. It was the first Nipplegate before the whole Janet Jackson thing.
Yeah,
This was
I
the
remember it
Nipplegate.
really bothering me back then. So in the meantime, we learned that Alfred is sick.
Yes, that's a big part too. Yeah.
And yeah, because Alfred gets his own, let's see, we have an A plot, we have a B plot, we have a C plot for Robin. So Alfred gets his own D plot in this movie. And Alfred's sick, and his niece, played by Alicia Silverstone, her name's Barbara Wilson,
Yeah.
comes to stay with Uncle Alfred at Wayne Manor.
Yeah, straight from Oxford, by the way.
Well,
For her
it wasn't,
English uncle.
wasn't it a made-up English...
I'm pretty sure it was Oxford.
Was it?
I can't remember, but she's not English.
She is not English.
Which she doesn't have to be. I mean, it could work out in a way that she would be American and still be his niece, as is possible. But she's in England. She goes to Oxford. She's Alfred's niece. She probably should be British. Am I right? Is
it would have
weird
made
that she's
sense. Yeah. And so yeah,
she's fine in the role. I mean, I think she plays a real innocent, cute girl. That's like what she does. And even when they make her, oh no, wait, she's actually a motorcycle driving badass. No, she's just a nice, innocent, cute girl. Like that's all she really brought to the role. I don't think they really expected more of her out of
Yeah,
it.
she's very shoehorned in. That's my
Yeah,
biggest thing.
big time. They wanted to grow the Bat family, and maybe it's always that fear that it's like we may not do another one after this. If it's a complete failure, we might as well just toss in everything. So we might as well have Batgirl in. I mean, to this day, it's the only movie that has Batgirl in it. Like she hasn't appeared anywhere else in any
Yeah,
Batman, right?
it's true. And
I mean,
at
the
least
only live action feature one, you know.
they had her called Barbara.
Yes.
Uh, so yeah, Barbara. Her plot is pretty simple. She wants to take Alfred out of the house because she thinks that he's not happy. But
Yeah,
obviously
and I'm
he's
with her on
happy.
that, and that she finds the master servant thing very weird. I find it very weird too. I find the royal family weird. I find all of this very strange that there are people born into servitude and people that are known as being higher than your average people. You know what I mean? So I do think it's weird.
It's
But
definitely weird.
I do think I don't think it's weird if he's an employee, you know, if he's just like, if you're a rich person and you have the money and you have a family, then I feel it makes sense to hire help. But if you're just a dude by himself, it's weird to have a butler, right?
My big issue with the whole thing is that Alfred's brother is also a butler.
Yeah, and his name, Wilfred.
Wilfred.
Alfred Wilfred.
My God.
So he knows he's dying, so he wants Wilfred to know the Batman secret and to basically come to Gotham to take over as the new butler.
Right. He's like,
Yeah.
you must
is a
complete
family
my
secret.
life's work. Yeah.
Yes, you have to drop whatever you're doing and take over for Batman's butler as Batman's butler.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you all about it before
Right.
you have the chance to think about it.
Right. And that's how Barbara finds out that they're all Batman and Robin. Yeah. Because she easily unscrews the thing and puts in the disc. And she has one of those computers that projects everything onto your face,
Yeah, yeah.
like a normal computer does.
It was very normal in 1997.
So, Mr. Freeze is in prison, and that's when Poison Ivy comes to him. I just remembered that. That's when she comes to him and tells her master plan and that she needs his help to freeze Gotham, destroy the world, so she can then regrow it in her image.
Yep.
And
And
that's how they team up.
Mr. Freeze is a lunatic, so he doesn't care because his only goal is to save his wife.
Yes. So they go to rescue her, but his hideout has been discovered by the police and Batman and Robin. And I can't recall, like, does he fight them again, or?
No, he's too weak to fight him, so
Yeah.
he has to run away.
Right.
But not before he turns a giant lever that says hot, and
Yep.
he switches it to cold,
Yeah.
which incapacitates all of the
Yeah.
police because their lungs are freezing.
I can't. Yeah, it was very funny.
And it gets resolved by the Commissioner Gordon going and switching the lever back
Yes.
to hot. Which it feels like hot should also do some kind of killing, but no, apparently hot just means comfortable.
And Poison Ivy kills his wife. Or
And
thinks,
Poison
thinks she
Ivy-
does.
Yep, takes the wife off of life support,
And all she does is make problems for herself. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to clearly come back to haunt her,
oh yeah,
you know?
and so Mr. Freeze now thinks that because Poison Ivy tells Mr. Freeze that Batman unplugged his wife, so Mr. Freeze now wants to destroy Batman, destroy
Right.
everyone as well. So we have that same setup as Batman Forever, where one villain, their goal is to destroy everything because of Bruce Wayne, and another villain whose goal is to destroy everything because of Batman.
Right.
And
So let's just finish up the plot. So then this all comes to a head where he can use the new observatory telescope, but use it as more of a gun. So he hooks up his crystal or his diamond-powered freeze gun to the observatory telescope, right, and makes it a super freeze gun, and now he's able to freeze Gotham. That's basically what happens.
And he does. He freezes Gotham.
Exactly. So now you have Batman, Robin, and the new Batgirl. And she is like 10 minutes. She's had her costume on, and she is like, "I'm Batgirl now, and I'm part of the team." And they're like, "Yeah, cool." Yeah,
because her uncle built her a suit.
Yes.
Alfred, in the middle of being sick, was like, "My priority is to make sure my niece has a crime-fighting suit, and my collection of superheroes will be complete."
Yeah. And she, in her cute way, is like, "Suit me up, Uncle Alfred." You know what I mean? Because she's always cute. She's just cute in the movie. And I don't know if that was the right way to go with the Batgirl character. But that's what we get from Alicia Silverstone. So, yeah. And then they have a long, drawn-out final battle. Like, where they stop him, but he freezes it. And then they blow up the thing. And then they want to use the satellites that also connect to the telescope to, like, make the telescope heat power, but then that doesn't work. So then they're just like, "Well, we didn't do that anyways. We can just point the satellites down at Gotham, and that'll solve the problem." So they do, and then they save the day that way. And Poison Ivy gets like, I feel like she was sitting in that plant when they walked in.
Yes,
right?
She was.
But then when they kick her into it, all of a sudden it's a problem, and it tries to eat her or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Poison Ivy is basically eaten by a plant, but it's okay. It turns out she's alive.
Yeah, she's not dead or anything. She's just in Arkham.
Because in the meantime, we discover that Mr. Freeze has learned how to cure Alfred's disease.
Yes, because his wife has McGregor syndrome.
Yes,
which is an advanced case of it. Whereas Alfred only has like a stage 1, right?
Stage 1.
So Batman convinces Mr. Freeze, Dr. Victor, Mr. Freeze, let's be a doctor again. Help me help you. And he's like, okay, I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Batman gets him his wife and gets him a lab at Arkham so he can continue trying to save her.
Yes.
And it's this big positive ending where he redeemed the villain.
Yeah. And I knew at the end that Mr. Freeze would still have nothing of substance to say when he handed him the vials. I'm like, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I guarantee you he's going to say, "Take 2 of these and call me in the morning." And that is exactly what he fucking did at the end. And I was like, there, God damn it. Like, everything he says is a play on fucking words. He has nothing good to say.
He was consistent throughout the entire movie.
He was very consistent.
It was a fantastic performance.
Oh my God.
But then they ruin all that payoff between Batman and Mr. Freeze by having him show up in Ivy's cell as her cellmate. It's just a comical
ending where, like, now he's gonna be a bad roommate and he's gonna drive her crazy.
Which is nonsense because he wouldn't have his suit.
No, they would not have given him his suit.
Because that suit makes him super strong, and
it's just that they knew that he couldn't stand there without the cold thing on him either, and that wouldn't have been in there, or wouldn't have been a surprise to her, because obviously she would have already known he was a roommate if he had the cold thing.
And
this is just a continuity issue where they were just like, we're gonna have to have him wear the suit, or it won't make sense for him to stand there.
They're gonna have him like with a woman again, which is something they wouldn't do.
Yeah, it's not a prison; it's just an insane asylum. But I still can't think that they would have put them together.
Who's giving him his diamonds to power that suit? Is that Arkham's diamond budget?
So many problems. But anyway, the Bat family is complete. They all decide to be partners, and they are just together now for more movies.
Yeah, which was going to lead into. Because the movie initially was doing so well that they immediately hired Schumacher to do a third movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Called Batman Unchained?
That's what I read, yeah, is that it was Batman Unchained, and the big idea is that they would bring back the Joker as a fear gas-induced vision from the Scarecrow, who apparently was going to be played by someone who cameoed in Batman and Robin. Are you familiar with that person? Jonathan Crane, also known as the Scarecrow.
Jonathan Crane. Well,
this is what I read. Coolio, the rapper.
No.
Do you know Coolio?
I know Coolio.
This is what I heard, is that Coolio, who was briefly seen in Batman and Robin as the leader of the gang of motorcycle riders or whatever,
Oh
he
yeah.
apparently was Jonathan Crane, who is the Scarecrow, and then he was going to be the villain of Batman Unchained. Who did you read that was
Unfortunately,
Scarecrow?
you're wrong because I have quotes from Schumacher.
Okay, who was it?
It was Nicolas Cage.
Interesting. Okay.
Nicolas Cage or Schumacher said he remembers visiting Cage on some set in 1997
Face Off.
and asking him to be Scarecrow, and they approached making the movie with him in mind as Scarecrow.
Okay, interesting.
And I mean, I read a lot of different things
Yeah.
where George Clooney was on board,
Mm-hmm.
but then George Clooney has publicly said that he would never return to the role and
Yeah.
that they killed the franchise. And then there was talk of everybody but returning except for Alicia Silverstone, who the guy who wrote the script said he didn't put her in the script.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it was going to
here's-
center on
Yeah.
the Scarecrow and having Batman get over his fear of bats. And it was also going to have Harley Quinn
Oh,
in the
okay.
movie as the daughter of the Joker.
Yes, I did read that too. Yeah.
And so it was going to be Harley Quinn hating. It was the same concept again, where Harley Quinn was angry at Bruce Wayne or Batman, and Scarecrow was angry at either Bruce Wayne or Batman. And then they eventually teamed up because they have a common enemy when they figure out that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about it, and I think it would go something like this as far as casting goes, is that for some reason, say Batman and Robin made money, because it did make money, but not as much as Batman Forever. It was clearly not the same magic that they got from Forever, and it was critically reviled.
Yes.
So that killed it. It killed the franchise. See, I think Warner Brothers would have done the same thing they did with Burton, and that they see one movie that kind of has a downturn, and they're like, we don't want you to come back. So I think they would have kicked Schumacher out and tried to bring it back to the Tim Burton era, that kind of grittiness feel. But they don't want to completely lose the family friendly that the last two movies have kind of built up. So I feel like they would have went with a director that wasn't quite, because Burton would not have wanted to come back. He was doing his own thing. All right.
Oh yeah.
So I think like they would want an Alex Proyas, who did The Crow and Dark City, but a little too dark. So who do you get? Who can handle dark and disturbing but comical? Barry Sonnenfeld. Barry Sonnenfeld would have been the new director of Batman Unchained, and then they would have tried to get Michael Keaton to reprise his role. This is my fever dream. They would have tried to bring Keaton back, but he wouldn't want to do it because Burton wasn't involved. But much like Sean Connery had already left James Bond, so they brought in George Lazenby to be James Bond for Honor Majesty's Secret Service,
Yeah.
which he was great at it. He was a good James Bond. It was a really good movie. But then Sean Connery came back for the next one because he was,
I was
just
gonna
like,
say,
well, I want to be James Bond again, so he came back. So I think they could have got Michael Keaton back. They would have had a problem with it because Burton wasn't directing. But if they were able to secure Jack Nicholson to come back as the Joker, then I think Keaton would have been on board.
And like, so what you're talking about is right, where like they were gonna have a big Scarecrow fear induced dream where they brought back they brought back everybody. They were talking about bringing back Riddler and Two-Face and Mr. Freeze and having all of them in this dream sequence, with it culminating in a Jack Nicholson Joker face
I
off.
feel like they should drop all that, though. I feel like it's too close.
did.
Especially bringing
Yeah.
back Mr. Freeze. Nobody cares. The movie just happened. The big thing is that you not only bring back the Joker, but you bring back Jack Nicholson as the Joker. But you also have to take the movies away from the past two super fun ones with Schumacher. So that's why I feel like someone like Sonnenfeld would have kept the family friendliness, but also made it gritty again. He could have he could have brought the darker back. But failing getting Keaton on board, who would have been the new Batman?
So
Now this I think would have been 1999, maybe 2000. Okay,
yep.
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser's not
Hot
bad.
off the Mummy. Hot off the Mummy. He's the new white guy. He's perfect age. Not too much older than Chris O'Donnell, I feel like, so that would have been a problem. Maybe a little bit of an issue, but they don't care. So Brendan Fraser would have been a new Batman. They would have brought Jack Nicholson back for the Joker. Chris O'Donnell would have definitely returned as Robin, but yeah, I feel like Alicia Silverstone Batgirl would have been completely written out, not even mentioned. Like, I feel like she just wasn't brought back.
Yeah.
So now who's Scarecrow? I didn't even think of Nicolas Cage. I didn't know about that. I think that's a good choice, obviously. But I think that would have been too hard Tommy Lee Jones and too... I just think he would have brought the same manic energy in a way that we've already seen, and we saw that maybe didn't work for the two of them, Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones. So I think Scarecrow, Jonathan Crane, would have been Michael Douglas.
What?
Yes, because it was the late '90s. He was hot off stuff too. You know, he's a big thing. They wanted someone to match Jack Nicholson's presence. You know what I mean? So you want another classic actor. I think Michael Douglas would have been the Scarecrow with Brendan Fraser as Batman and Jack Nicholson returning for the Joker with Barry Sonnenfeld directing. That is Batman Unchained, the 5th movie in the Batman quadrilogy.
He would have been 56.
This is right around the game.
Yeah, he was about 56.
A little bit before Wonder Boys. But right around that sweet spot where he was very known, you know.
When you asked me to do some dream casting for a 5th Batman movie, I went crazy with it.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
And so I wasn't sure if you wanted to do today actors or 2000s actors, so I went with both.
Okay.
And mine's a little cheaty. Like, I almost don't want to... It's almost cringeworthy, like, who I picked.
Who
but I totally...
I'm thinking 90s. I mean, like, who would have been picked at that time?
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Like, so the way these
like
movies were going...
But he was, like, considered for Batman, I feel like, when the first movie came out. You know what I mean? Because he was a young white actor, and he was popular. And I think he already turned it down. That's why I didn't choose him, because he had already turned it down, and he wasn't going to come to this franchise now.
I was going with fantasy.
Yeah.
But a big young actor at that time, Freddie Prinze Jr., would have made an excellent Robin.
Ugh. Yeah, but I think Chris O'Donnell would have come back. I think he and Gordon and Alfred would have been the consistents for the rest of the franchise if they made another one. And he was just
too old for me.
Yeah.
Like, he was.
But
in
he
his
would have
30s
come
at that
back.
point.
Like, would they have bothered recasting him? I don't know.
I went with fan casting here.
Yeah.
And the way that they were pulling giant named stars for Batman and Robin, I say they would have continued pulling giant named stars. I mean, Schwarzenegger made $25 million for this movie.
Oh, he got first billing too.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But George Clooney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Uma Thurman, Chris O'Donnell, Alicia Silverstone, like, those were some of the biggest names then.
Yeah. Well, who would have been Scarecrow? Nick Cage.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, yes.
And then Drew Barrymore as the Harley character.
I say no to Johnny Depp because he was with Burton making Sleepy Hollow. You know what I mean? And that he was more of Johnny. He was more of Burton's way of thinking that he wasn't ready for the franchise yet. Like, he was an artsy actor.
I did fan casting. Fan.
You're like
casting.
Wizard Magazine doing their casting of movies.
Remember how good some of those were?
Yeah, and we thought they were real. Like, we were telling people, like, oh yeah, Nicole Kidman's gonna be Jean Grey. Can you believe that? But I remember, and I could be wrong, but I remember that Robert Downey Jr. was pretty much always Iron Man in their casting. You know, it was an obvious one. And then when he actually was, we were just like, of course, we do this for like 10, 15 years now.
Yeah. So I also did 2020 picks.
Okay.
Who would you cast as Batman if it was today?
Taylor Lautner. No, wait, the other one from Twilight. Robert Pattinson.
Ha 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 ha.
Who, Batman and Robin, Batman Unchained today, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just like who would be a good actor for nowadays.
I don't know.
I am so hardcore on this choice,
Tell me.
and it is just another bit of fan casting, whatever.
What role?
As Batman,
As Batman,
I,
okay.
I love Carl Urban.
Carl Urban as Batman, yeah.
I love him. He was.
I mean,
such a
that would
good
be
Judge
very
Dredd.
Ben Affleck-ish, his Batman.
He's got the.
You know what I
I
mean?
feel like he'd be better.
Yeah.
I think he's a better actor than Ben Affleck. I don't know. That's
Maybe.
a hard one. I mean, he was so good in Star Trek.
Yeah, he was.
And
I
then
don't, I saw him in Pete's Dragon that we just watched recently. Did you see that with Robert Redford? Carl Urban's in that.
Never watched that. No.
Yeah. He just kind of is a little typecasted. I don't know. He kind of plays the same role all the time, I feel like. That's just his thing. I don't know.
I mean,
I'd be okay, yeah.
like with the boys in Dread, yeah, it's the tough leading man. But a lot of times he's like a secondary character. And,
Yeah. He's a good supporting character.
yeah. Did you see Dread?
How about Michael Shannon as Batman? Wouldn't that be fucked up?
I don't know if I know Michael Shannon well enough, but everybody talks about him like he's.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well, I watched. We saw him a lot in Boardwalk Empire. I mean, I had known him in some movies before that, and of course, he was in the Superman movie. But he was a big character in Boardwalk Empire, so that's how my wife and I know him really well.
Wait, that's Michael Shannon?
Yeah, he was Zod.
He was Zod?
Yeah.
Wasn't he just in Knives Out?
Yes, he was in Knives Out.
Heh.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot in that.
Who would have been Scarecrow? Did you just pick Nick Cage in the late 90s?
No, I did Johnny Depp.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But,
Would Jack Nicholson have come back for the Joker, do you think?
no.
I think he would, because Nicholson is there for the payday. Like, he's my favorite actor of all time.
Yeah?
Jack Nicholson, yeah, for sure. But he's not an idiot, you know what I mean? So he would do the same thing he did on Batman, in that he was like, yeah, pay me this much, which is a lot, but I also want, some on the back end, So he made a fortune off Batman, because he was smart about it, he knew. So I think he'd be there for the money. But he'd also enjoy bringing the character back after like 10 years or so. Like, it wouldn't just be a paycheck for him, but it would certainly be a paycheck for him. And that's why I think they could have got Jack Nicholson to come back.
Did I tell you the Richard Dreyfuss Oscar story?
No.
I think it was Richard Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss had just finished winning an Oscar for, I want to say, Best Actor.
Mr. Holland's Opus.
Did
he win for that? He may have.
I'm looking it up now because I don't remember, so bear with me while I look up Richard Dreyfuss's career. I love Richard Dreyfuss, by the way.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah.
He's getting a little Me Too at the moment, but whatever.
Richard, what?
You don't want to make excuses, but it's like him and Dustin Hoffman, all those guys.
Well, Hoffman, yeah, but
they
I don't
were
remember
just.
Richard Dreyfuss.
It was the '60s. It was the '70s. It was just a little bit of the macho. The way they treat women, and I think it's coming back to haunt them now. So, I don't know. I don't know maybe if that makes them bad guys, but everybody wants to just drag him down for it. I don't know. Like, he showed his dick to somebody back in like '72 or whatever. I don't know.
That's fair. So, Best Actor, Goodbye Girl. He was nominated for Mr. Holland's Opus.
Okay.
But it looks like he won for Goodbye Girl.
What's
anyway,
the story?
Unless it was Roy Schneider. It was somebody from Jaws.
Roy Scheider.
Scheider.
No N.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Mr.
go ahead.
Scheider. They just got their award. They're still holding their Oscar, and they get into the elevator to go downstairs after getting off stage. And Jack Nicholson gets into the elevator, and he's sitting in the back, and he's not talking, and nobody's talking, and everybody's thinking, oh, it's Jack Nicholson. And the door to the elevator opens, and Jack Nicholson starts walking by whatever actor it was, and he says, bet you're glad that I didn't act in anything this year, huh? And then kept walking. So that's just telling Nicholson. The guy that won the Oscar
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson's great.
He's just one of those guys. You know, his shtick wouldn't fly nowadays. I get that.
Yeah.
But damn, was he good in the 70s. Like, well, Easy Rider, of course, but I love, shoot.
Oh, God, he's in
Five
so
Easy
much.
Pieces. Have you ever seen Five Easy Pieces? Oh, it's
No.
really good. That's definitely when he, like, took off. And then, of course, he won the Oscar for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and all that good stuff. So, yeah. So he's always been pretty much my favorite.
Yes,
Anyway.
I like the Jack Nicholson.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, so that's us covering the 1990s Batman sequels.
Yeah, I
And-
can't believe we're all done with those.
Yeah, we got done pretty quick.
Yeah.
What are we going to be covering?
I have no
in
idea,
2
but I think
weeks?
whatever we do next should not involve 4 movies.
Oh, so a quick little series.
What if we just pick one that's a legitimate sequel and that's it? No franchise, just like a sequel. You know what I mean?
I don't know why this popped into my head, but it might be important that we do it. And if we're taking turns picking, then
Yeah,
it's my
what do you
turn.
want to do?
Color of Money.
Oh, okay.
And it might be one of my favorite Scorsese's.
Really? Okay.
But I've never seen The Hustler. And so this is a good reason
Yeah.
to sit down and watch The Hustler.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen The Hustler either. Okay, let's do it. We'll do it. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, just a little one-off episode on The Color of Money.
I like it.
Yeah, it'll be great.
And then after that, we can do like all 8 Hellraiser movies or some shit.
Oh God.
No, because the first movie is the only good one. See, that's the other thing. Like, we can choose a lot of franchises, but what franchise is the second movie really good? You know? Like Alien, there you go.
Yeah.
Batman Returns, really good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Aliens is as good as... I wouldn't say Batman Returns is as good as Aliens. It's not exactly classic, but still a good film.
Yeah, like I mean, and I don't want to go anywhere near Star Wars. I don't
Yeah,
wanna-
it's too much. Maybe if we run out of movies 20
Yeah.
years from now and we're
We-
striving for something, we'll be like, all right, let's do Star Wars.
Yeah, that'll be a fun event, and we'll be ridiculous about it. But yeah,
Right.
not to start with. So yeah. Anyway, next week, Color of Money, and thanks for listening. To
Yeah, thanks for listening.
us
I can't believe we
assholes.
made it through all of the Batman movies. I kind of feel a little tear coming on.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
we're able to get a Brendan Fraser Batman. I feel bad about that.
and the Batman and Robin is a secret classic. It's nice.
I don't know if I would go that far.
It's
but
one
it's
thing I like
definitely
about.
watchable more than people would like to remember it being.
Yeah, it's a dream, and getting to watch these movies with a more critical eye because we're going to be talking about them. It lets you really appreciate some different elements of the film than you normally would if you were
Totally.
just watching it for entertainment.
Hey, how did Batman know that behind the frozen food was the button that...
I think
Like,
he literally used the words like, "Oh, obviously," and
he
then clicked
said,
it.
here we go. Because they walk in and they're talking. Like, yeah, it's a poison. Yeah, there's... And he looks around and he goes, here we go. And he did it. How did he know that?
To close out, I want to read through some of my notes real quick.
All right.
When Alfred looks up the picture of his brother, it zooms in on the brother, and then a little arrow pops up, even though Alfred's brother's the only one on screen.
Yes.
An arrow pops up
That's
and
him.
points at him. In a movie where the butler is looking for his long-lost brother, who's also a butler, that's a better movie. Like, I want to see Alfred traveling the world trying to find his brother.
Pennyworth. Like, do you ever seen Pennyworth the show?
No.
Do you know about it?
Yeah.
My parents watch it. It is extremely violent.
Really?
And he's like a secret agent. And it has literally nothing to do with Batman except his parents are in it.
Yeah.
Like Martha and Thomas Wayne, and they're also like secret agents or some shit. I don't know. It's so bizarre. There's no reason for it to be connected.
No.
Anyway,
There's no
it's
reason
bizarre.
at all.
But yeah, I could go with that. He searches out his long lost brother.
So we didn't really spend much time talking about Elle McPherson, but yeah, Bruce has been
about there.
dating a woman for a year. She has no idea he's Batman. He's a sociopath. There are 4 security guards chasing Uma Thurman when she first meets Bruce Wayne. And so 4 security guards can't take her down. That's terrible.
Well, they're trying to be nice to her, They don't want to, like, manhandle her.
Yeah, that's what security guards do, is they'll let you by.
Yeah, they really
want to be
usually
nice.
don't let you get that close to the billionaire.
Batman knowingly putting hundreds of people in danger, and then just telling the commissioner, you've got 11 minutes to unfreeze these people.
And then he should have said, like, I'm sorry, 6 minutes.
Yep. Let's see. Bruce Wayne having dinner, been dating the girl for a year. Literally, his girlfriend is saying, this has to change.
Yeah.
We have to become more serious. And he's literally just daydreaming about Uma Thurman the whole time. Like, he hates this girl.
Yeah. He's not into her. It's not you, it's me.
When they're breaking Mr. Freeze out of prison, they could have just shot Bane, but they decided not to.
They didn't really use guns at all.
At the very end, they did.
Yeah.
Yep, when they have already jumped.
Yeah, then one of them just fires wildly.
Yeah.
How did they survive that fall? That was amazing.
They did a great job.
That would kill anybody. And it was probably cold as shit.
There is actually a weird cut to Mr. Freeze in the middle of this movie that happens for no reason. Oh God, I wish all my notes say is a weird cut to Mr. Freeze, but they do a thing where they go from Uma Thurman, and then they cut to Mr. Freeze, and all Mr. Freeze is doing is like getting ready in his lab. So it just shows him like picking up a gun and like hitting a button, and then it cuts back to Uma Thurman. It was the weirdest cut I've ever seen. Sorry. Wish I could have remembered that more. All right, yeah, so, yeah, my notes weren't that great. All right, I will talk to you soon.
Yeah.
And next time we'll talk about The Color of Money.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.